Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are unpacking a concept that can, and honestly will, fundamentally change how you experience every single day. Now, I know for a lot of people, the very idea of being totally alone is, well, it's kind of terrifying. But we're going to explore how completely shifting our perspective can turn solitude into the ultimate tool for self-mastery. Okay, let's just dive right into this. All right, let me hit you with a serious question right out of the gate. Could you just sit alone in absolute silence? I mean, really think about it. In our modern world, we are completely obsessed with continuous connection, right? If we're eating breakfast, we absolutely must take a picture of it. If we're going to the toilet, we're literally texting from it. So what actually happens when you just put the screens down, shut up, and sit in one place? Well, it looks like a massive struggle initially, but as you'll see, the rewards are absolutely immense. You know, people often assume that spending a lot of time alone means you're lonely or maybe antisocial. But it's usually the exact opposite. People who genuinely enjoy being alone are actually far better organized psychologically and emotionally than folks who constantly need outside distractions. That inability to be alone, it almost always stems from a completely unorganized internal state. Section 1. The psychological drama. So the crucial point here is what we call the psychological drama. Most people aren't truly experiencing actual life. They're living entirely within this endless, exhausting loop of their own thoughts, ideas, opinions, and prejudices. Think about this for a second. Nature has worked for millions of years of phenomenal evolutionary development to arrive at you, the human being, the absolute peak of evolution on this planet. Yet instead of touching the actual phenomenon of life, so many of us spend this incredible gift complaining, getting bored, and just getting lost in a messy bundle of thoughts. To break out of this drama, we have to look really closely at what we actually think we are. Human identity can be broken down in such a fascinating way. What you refer to as your body, well, it's essentially just a heap of food you've gathered over the years. And what you call your mind, it's simply a gathered heap of outside impressions, data, and influences that you've collected since the day you were born. Basically, we're just two heaps of accumulation. Which brings us to an incredibly profound question. Between these two heaps, the pile of food and the pile of impressions, where the hell are you? There's a fundamental dimension to human life that goes way, way beyond just your physical body and your endlessly chattering mind. But as long as you're caught up in that psychological drama, you will never touch that deeper life. Moving on to Section 2, the relativity of time. So, our internal state completely alters our perception of time. Let's look at a miserable existence. If someone is heavily depressed, just 24 hours feels like an absolute eon, right? 100 years of that would feel like an unbearable eternity. But on the flip side, look at a joyful existence. If you're genuinely ecstatic, 24 hours just vanishes in a moment. And even if you live to be 100 years old, it feels like it passes in no time at all. Your internal state completely dictates how you experience time passing. However, regardless of how we perceive it internally, there is an absolute, unavoidable physical truth. Time is rolling away for all of us, and you cannot stop it. It doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter how young you are, how incredibly healthy you are, or how totally wonderful you feel today. You cannot put the brakes on time. It is the one constant that is constantly slipping through our fingers. Which leads perfectly into Section 3, mastering your energy. And this brilliantly illustrates what we're talking about. 10. The sources explain that by elevating your energy to a certain level of intensity, what takes somebody else 10 years to achieve, you can accomplish in just one single year. Seriously, let that sink in for a moment. You can multiply your output and your experience exponentially. So how do you actually get there? Well, it happens by taking time to step away from all the noise, going into deep silence, setting yourself apart from the screens, and disconnecting from endless entertainment allows you to touch the very source of life. And the benefits are staggering. Your profoundness of experience deepens immensely. Your daily activity is multiplied. The source even notes that by mastering your energy, your impact on the earth could be equivalent to 1,000 years, even if you physically only live for 100. You tap into a level of clarity and stamina that is just truly extraordinary. Section 4, the ultimate reality check. Next time you hear a clock tick, you really have to realize something. It's not just a mechanical device ticking away. It is literally your life ticking away. Just since you sat down to watch this explainer, you are a few minutes closer to your grave. Now,
I know that sounds heavy, but this isn't meant to be depressing. It is simply the undeniable nature of our existence. Most people live as if only other people die. But you and I, we're going to die too.
If you want a real wake-up call, consider this absolute jaw-dropper of a statistic. 250,000. Nearly 250,000 people die on this planet every single day, just by natural processes. And here's the real kicker. Do you think all those people woke up thinking, tomorrow morning I'm going to die? No way. They were commuting to the office, they were heading home, they had big plans for the weekend. Young people, old people, all sorts of people. Tomorrow morning, you and I could be dead.
There's this profoundly beautiful and honestly sobering way of expressing this reality in the Tamil language. When someone passes away, they don't say he died. The direct translation is simply, his time got over. It is probably the most perfect description of life I've ever heard. We are all given an allotted amount of time. And right now, literally as we speak, that time is getting over.
When you truly internalize that your time is getting over, you develop what's called the mortality mindset. Being constantly conscious of your limited time naturally tweaks your energies up to their absolute maximum level. It completely destroys the ridiculous illusion that you're this eternal being who can afford to waste days on end. It eliminates all the time you used to spend on rubbish, on bickering, and on nonsense that you don't even actually care about. It forces an absolute laser-like focus on doing only what truly matters. Which leaves us with this final, incredibly powerful question to carry with you today. If you knew, for a fact, that it is entirely possible that tomorrow morning you could be dead, would you still have time to argue with someone today? Would you really have time to bicker, to complain about your life, or to get totally lost in your own psychological drama? If you live every single moment totally conscious of your mortality, doing only what truly matters to you, you won't just be organized or energetic. You will live a truly wonderful life. So try it out. Take some time to be alone, master your energy, and make every single moment count.